Will the House come to order? Mr. Clerk?
Aloha and good afternoon. Today's invocation will be delivered by Representative D. Morikawa. Will the members who wish to participate please rise?
No, you can sit. And I'm not gonna sing today, or dance, or play the ukulele. Two very prominent legislative leaders in late 2006 had a vision of reform in the State House. In a Star Bulletin article on Sunday, December 31st, 2006, they said, and I quote, "We must recognize that we were elected to serve the general public and that it is not too late to bring about reform. By working with the Senate leadership, the House can implement a progressive agenda that will improve the legislature and residents' quality of life. Here are a few things that we can do. Increase ethical standards. The House needs to prevent self-dealing, which results in bad legislation and policy decisions. We must set higher standards and learn to enforce them, even against our colleagues. Approve immediate tax relief for working people. Programs such as the Earned Income Tax Credit can provide more than $20 million annual tax relief for thousands of working families in Hawaii. The federal government and 20 other states already have adopted the EITC. Hawaii should provide this and other tax relief to our residents. Pass an aggressive renewable energy agenda. In recent years, the House has watered down bold proposals to reduce our reliance on oil. We can no longer afford to do this. We must set a comprehensive plan to reduce our dependence on foreign oil and its effect on other facets of our economy. We cannot continue to prolong action if we are to become more self-sufficient. This is just an example of what is possible." End of quote. Fast forward to today, 18 years later. Their vision has become reality, and we continue on the path in the right direction. Mahalo, Lieutenant Governor, and Mr. Speaker, for having the vision and perseverance to bring us to where we are today. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Morikawa. Mr. Clerk, we're on item 1, roll call. Please call the roll.
Mr. Ayu, Mr. Alcos, Ms. Amato, Ms. Bellotti, Mr. Chun, Ms. Cochran, Mr. Evslin, Mr. Ganadin, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Gates, Mr. Hashem, Mr. Holt, Ms. Hussey Burdick, Ms. Ichiyama, Ms. Kahaloa, Ms. Capella, Mr. Kila, Ms. Kitagawa,
Excuse.
Mr. Kobayashi,
Excuse.
Mr. Kong, Ms. Lachika, Ms. Lamosao, Ms. Lowen, Ms. Martin, Ms. Martinez, Mr. Matayoshi, Ms. Matsumoto, Mr. Miyake, Ms. Mizuno, Ms. Morikawa, Ms. Nakamura, Mr. Nakashima, Mr. Nishimoto, Mr. Onishi, Ms. Peruso, Mr. Pirrick, Ms. Poepoe, Mr. Quinlan, Mr. Saiki, Mr. Sayama, Ms. Souza,
Excuse.
Mr. Takeyama, Ms. Takenouchi, Mr. Tam, Mr. Tarnas, Mr. Todd, Mr. Ward, Mr. Woodson, Mr. Yamashita, Mr. Speaker.
Present.
Mr. Speaker, 48 members are present, 3 are excused.
Thank you. Item 2, reading of the journal. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, may this matter be deferred.
So ordered. Item 3, Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the governor?
Mr. Speaker, there are none.
Item 4, Mr. Clerk, are there any Senate communications?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we are in receipt of communications transmitting the noted Senate concurrent resolutions, all having been adopted in the Senate. We are in further receipt of a communication returning the noted House bill having passed third reading in the Senate.
Members, are there any introductions? Representative Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have the honor of, I think for the first time in the history of introducing anyone from the floor, we've never had the Indo-Pacific Command Chaplain here as an example. That is Lieutenant Colonel and Chaplain Timothy Crawley. Timothy, Chaplain, where are you? There, thank you, sir, with beautiful uniform. Accompanying him, his bodyguards, Jeff Tullis, Hawaii Director of the Christian Business Men's Connection, and Kevin Inafuku, Board of Directors for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Director of Camp Kupono in Waianae. And lastly, Titus Crowley, son of Chaplain Crowley, who may become a chaplain someday. Let's welcome them to the House of Representatives.
Representative Alcos.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I want to recognize 4 guests that came in. Melanie McLean, Youth Candidate of the Year for the Boys and Girls Club. Can you please stand? Jenna Johnson, Youth of the Year finalist. Oscar Harris, Halepono Club Director of Eva Beach. Ian Clement, Halepono Youth Director of Eva Beach. Got down. And my cousin, Destiny Dono, Specialist Event of Marketing Coordinator of the Boys and Girls Club of Maui. May you put their names in the journal. Thank you, guys.
Representative Gates.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to introduce some guests with us today. Joining us in the gallery are members of the Waianae Boys and Girls Club, here for the 2024 Hawaii State Youth of the Year, being held in our auditorium right now. Please stand to be recognized when I call your name. We have Shada from Waianae, an 11th grader at Waianae High School. We have Cece from Makaha, a 10th grader at Waianae High School. And we have Shacey from Waianae High School, a 10th grader at Waianae High School. And last but not least, we have Auntie Crystal from Waianae Boys and Girls Club. Please stand to be recognized by your House of Representatives. And may their names be inserted into the journal. Thank you.
Representative Nishimoto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to add my congratulations to all the Boys and Girls Club candidates who are here today, but I'd like to give a shout out to one in particular. From my district, Amaya Sprout from the Spalding Boys and Girls Club is here, and she's a candidate for the State Youth of the Year. She's also a sophomore at McKinley High School. Members, if you'll join me in welcoming her.
Representative Kila.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Accompanying the Waianae Boys and Girls Club, we also have the Nanakuli Clubhouse. Could you please stand when your name is called? We have Dana Arenas from the NFL Nanakuli Clubhouse and their director, Koa Tupua of the Nanakuli Clubhouse. Welcome to your folks' House of Representatives.
Representative Miyake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the gallery today, it is my privilege to introduce the youth finalists from the Boys and Girls Club of Maui. I kindly ask that you hold your applause until the youth have been introduced. To the youth and their guests, please stand when your name is called. Christopher Leslie, Boys and Girls Club of Maui's Youth of the Year, Lahaina Clubhouse. Hi'ile Roman, Youth of the Year, Central Clubhouse. Kieran Fernandez Iriarte, Youth of the Year, Haiku Clubhouse. Shannon Milne, Youth of the Year, Kahikili Clubhouse. Also joining them is Felicia Moore, Christopher's mother, and Cameron Leslie, his sister, and the Boys and Girls Club of Maui staff and mentors. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Evson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I'd like to welcome students and chaperones from the Kauai Boys and Girls Club. We have, please stand when your name is called. We have David Brahmin, Nainoa Hirokane, Joseph Abru, Jaden Rees Serquina, Cohen Langley, Tessa D. Kuehu Sheldon, and they are accompanied by chaperones who I believe are here, maybe standing behind me. Jessica Herman, Bryden Kaawai, and Tina Albau. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Mizuno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we are in the gallery. We have the hardworking caregivers of the Adult Foster Home Care Association of Hawaii. Please stand and remain standing as I call your names. We have the President, Maribel Tan, Imelda Viernes, Noralyn Cansana, and Flor Deliza Maga. Please, welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Hashem.
Hello, I would like to introduce my staff. They're in the gallery today. So we have Jane Taylor and former football player for UH, Zach Rickner. And we also have another football player in the back. I can't see him. Derek Thomas, his teammate. Thank you, Speaker.
No further introductions. Members, let's take a recess. Recess. Will the House come to order? Members, we are on item 5 for order of the day. Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules of the House in order to consider certain Senate bills for third reading by consent calendar.
Representative Garcia.
Speaker, I second the motion.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Report numbers 1598-24 through 1603-24 as listed on pages 1 and 2, and that the accompanying Senate bills as amended pass third reading.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Any discussion on SANCOM Report 1598-24? Next page. 1599. 1600. Representative Garcia.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Gates.
Same request.
So ordered. One Representative Kennedy.
Same request.
So ordered. 1601. Representative La Chica.
Mr. Speaker, in strong support.
Proceed.
Wanted to just say a few comments. My first opportunity to speak on this bill. Just wanted to thank the Judiciary Chairs and CPC Chair for moving both measures, Senate and House. This bill would target the spread of deep fakes during an election. And as you all know, with all the benefits of AI, unfortunately, AI also has the ability to not just threaten people's livelihoods, as what we've seen with the film and the creative industry, but it can also be used to misrepresent individuals running in an election through the spread of fabricated media. And so deepfakes really are media portraying individuals saying or doing some things that they've never said or have done. And so this bill would help protect the integrity of our elections. For those reasons, I support this measure.
Representative Garcia.
Yes, with reservations.
So ordered. 1602. 160.
Mr. Speaker,
Representative
on 1602.
Morikawa. Go ahead.
Yes, strong reservations, Mr. Speaker. This bill will hurt Kauai's aviation tour industry. I received concerns from Kauai operators and I would like to share them for the record. These are quotes. The aviation insurance requirements in this version are not obtainable by any of the 9 helicopter and 3 airplane tour companies on Kauai. This bill would cause all of the air tour companies on Kauai to cease operations. Approximately 300 Kauai residents directly employed by air tour companies would lose their jobs. Requiring insurance that is not readily available at a reasonable cost to operators, as well as creating a requirement for air tour operators that are not imposed upon other operators, would be deemed by the FAA to be a violation of FAA grant assurances. The FAA has the exclusive authority to regulate aircraft safety generally. Based upon that authority, the FAA has the exclusive jurisdiction to establish and actually has established insurance requirements for operators. The states have no discretion by their regulatory powers to impose higher standards. As a result, the bill is federally preempted. Another concern as follows. The House Consumer Protection and Commerce Committee amended SB 2747 to increase the liability insurance requirement for air tour operators to $20 million per person per incident. Notably, this amendment was not informed by committee-conducted studies or assessments, but rather prompted by the recommendation of a single testimony. It is crucial to highlight that this testimony does not represent the views of the general aviation industry in Hawaii. Mr. Speaker, I'm very concerned about the consequences this version will have, raising the liability insurance requirement from $1 million to $20 million. And I'm sure that many operators are not aware of this sudden change because the amount of testimonies received from what I saw were very few. Thank you.
Representative Nakamura.
With reservations.
So ordered.
Just wanted to adopt the words of the Majority Floor Leader as they were my own.
So ordered.
And also wanted to add that for a bill that is involved with aircraft and helicopters, that both the Department of Transportation and the Attorney General did not weigh in on this bill. Thank you.
Representative Ward.
Speaker, same request with a no vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Kila.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Reservations, please, and brief comment.
Proceed.
There are concerns about the measure before us because at the beginning of its conception, $1 million was the first number. There was no issue with some of the number being proposed because every operator was able to provide coverage and even has coverage as such. The bill's intent is hovering around a 2019 accident in Kailua, but as the measure sits before us now, as previous speakers have mentioned, $20 million is only applicable and obtainable by one operator. I'm concerned that measures like this benefit one single person and operating group, and that will hurt the small operators of helicopters. And I would like to add, the FAA has the exclusive authority to regulate aircraft safety generally, and based on this authority, the FAA has the exclusive jurisdiction to establish this. So as a result, the bill is federally preempted. So reservations.
Representative Matsumoto?
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Pierick?
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Valcos?
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Capello?
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Cochran?
Chair, no vote.
So ordered. 1603. Representative Pierick?
No vote.
So ordered. All right, members. Representative Morikawa for the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the measures before us, all majority members vote aye with the exception of the following. On page 2, STANCOM report number 1600-24, SB number 2350, SD2HD2, Rep. Kila votes no. For STANCOM report number 1602-24, SB number 2747, SD2HD2, the following vote no. Rep. Cochran, Eslan, Capella, Miyake.
Representative Garcia.
On the measures before us, all minority members vote aye with the exception of the following. On page 2, SCR 1602-24, SB 2747, Senate Draft 2, House Draft 2, Reps. Alcos, Garcia, Matsumoto, Pierick, and Ward vote no. On SCR 1603-24, SB 2753, House Draft 2, Reps. Garcia and Pierick vote no.
Have all votes been cast? Said Senate bills pass third reading. Members, we are on item 6, reports of standing committees. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Report numbers 1637-24 through 1743-24 as listed on pages 3 through 32, and that the accompanying House resolutions and House concurrent resolutions as may be amended be adopted.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Any discussions on STANCOM report 1637-24 and 1638-24 in tandem? Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. 1639 and 1640. Next page. 1641 and 1642. Next page. 1643 and 1644. 1645 and 1646. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. Next page. 1647 and 1648. 1649. Next page. 1650. Representative Pierick.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
Same request.
So ordered. 1651 and 1652. Next page. 1653 and 1654. 1655 and 1656. Next page. 1657 and 1658. 1659. Next page. 1660. 1661 and 1662. Representative Pierick.
No vote.
So ordered. Next page. 1663 and 1664. 1665 and 1666. Representative Ward.
With reservations, please.
So ordered. Next page. 1667 and 1668, 1669 and 1670. Next page. Representative Cochran. 1671 and 1672. 1673 and 1674. Representative Perry.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Next page. 1675 and 1676. 1677. Next page. 1678. 1679 and 1680. Next page. 1681 and 1682. 1683, next page, 1684. 1685 and 1686. Representative Perrick,
In support.
proceed.
This measure would eventually, hopefully, help caregivers who take care of kapuna in care homes. As a former hospice chaplain, many caregivers would mention to me that they wish that their pay was more, and this measure would do that.
Next page. 1687. 1688. Representative Hassi-Burdick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HCR 9 in support. Brief comment.
Proceed.
This easement contains a structure that is part of the City and County of Honolulu's municipal drainage system that has been discovered within the state shoreline land area. There is a critical public service being served by this easement, and as such, it does uphold the public trust to support it. Thank you.
1689. Representative Hassi-Burdick.
Thank you. No vote. Brief comment.
Proceed.
There's a growing body of scientific literature that demonstrates how seawalls and shoreline hardening negatively impact nearby beaches. This is one of many reasons why the legislature codified HRS Chapter 171-53 in 1962, requiring the legislature to approve any lease of state submerged lands via concurrent resolution like these. The text of these resolutions, this resolution and the following 5, almost urge the legislature not to pass it. It warns of rising sea levels and states, I quote, "The practice of issuing easements to private landowners for state submerged lands on a case-by-case basis is not prudent as a long-term strategy when considered in relation to the public trust doctrine and in the context of planning for landscape scale adaptation and retreat."
Representative Amato.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Brusso.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Capella.
Same request.
So ordered. Next page. 1690. Representative Hassi-Burdick.
One moment. HCR 11.
Correct.
I just want to insert this words of the
In
that I
support.
spoke in opposition.
In opposition.
I would like to insert the words that I previously spoke on the last resolution, and also note that the private property that benefits from this resolution was last purchased in 2011 for over $13 million.
Representative Capella.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Brusso.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
Reservations.
So ordered. 1691. Representative Hassi-Burdick.
No vote. Brief comment.
Proceed.
I would like to insert the words that I spoke from the resolution HCR 10, and note that this private property that benefits from this resolution was last purchased
support.
in opposition, no
Oh.
vote, was last purchased in 2021 for almost $2 million.
Representative Capella.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Brusso.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
Reservations.
So ordered. 1692. Representative Hassi-Burdick.
No vote. Brief comment.
Proceed.
I would like to also insert the speech that I gave on HCR 10, And also note that the private property that benefits from this resolution was last purchased in 2017 for almost $1.3 million.
Representative Capello?
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Pruso?
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Amato?
No vote.
So ordered. Next page, 1693. Representative Amato?
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Hussey Burdick?
No vote, brief comment.
Proceed.
I understand that this resolution is a little bit different. It deals with an apartment building that houses a lot of people, some local residents, some not. But the underlying point remains the same. These are private property owners. This is a public trust resource. And if the public trust, if the ocean is encroaching on a private property, no matter how big or small, we need to recognize that as a wasted asset and retreat and move inward and realize that we cannot keep building shoreline homes at a cost of millions of dollars and expect that people can continue to live there. Thank you.
Representative Pruso?
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Capello?
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Abalati?
Mr. Speaker, in support for this measure and the previous measures related to the term leases.
Proceed.
Brief comment. In support, I understand the issues being raised by our colleague from Kailua, but I also appreciate that these resolutions have been amended with a shorter lease term, and that there is a promise and an expectation that we will confront these issues being presented by these resolutions in legislative sessions to come, because truly managed retreat and addressing our shoreline is a critical issue that we have to face for a generation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Cochran?
Thank you, Speaker. Also in support, and I think I stated previously that I am definitely not a fan of seawalls. This is something that has been exacerbated. It has already a domino effect, and it will be detrimental if they cannot continue to maintain and do improvements upon this existing wall, which had started because of the harbor that the state had built many, many years ago. So there is a clear delineation on when you do not put a wall and versus having a wall in this particular shoreline. And the part where they forced a landowner to manage retreat, the land itself has eroded just pure dirt into the ocean there because of lack of seawall and existing seawalls around it. So this definitely needs to happen, and I concur with previous testimony here, and I am in very strong support because it's very needed. Thank you.
1694, Representative Hussey Burdick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In opposition, brief comment.
Proceed.
I would like to insert the comments that I made for HCR 10 and also note that there are at least 3 private beachfront properties that benefit from this resolution, each valued between $4 and $5 million. I have taken an oath to uphold the public trust, and as such, I have a fiduciary duty to oppose the passage of measures that would exclusively benefit private interests at the expense of our public trust beaches. It is time that the legislature stops automatically approving seawalls and hardening to benefit wealthy private landowners at the cost of our public trust beaches. Thank you.
Representative Capello.
No vote. And can I have the words of the previous speaker inserted into the journal as if they were
So
my own?
ordered. Representative Pruso.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
Reservations.
So ordered. 1695 and 1696. Representative Perrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Next page. 1697 and 1698. 1699. Next page. 1700. 1701 and 1702. 1703. Next page. 1704 and 1705. Representative Hussey Burdick.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Capello.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Pruso.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Martin.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Ganadin.
Same request.
So ordered. 1706 and 1707. Next page. 1708 and 1709. Representative Amato.
No vote.
So ordered. 1710 and 1711. Next page. 1712 and 1713. 1714 and 1715. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Mato.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Same request.
So ordered. Next page. 1716 and 1717. 1718 and 1719. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. Next page. 1720 and 1721. 1722 and 1723. Next page. 1724 and 1725. Representative Ward.
Speaker, at the appropriate time, could we go back to 1719, please?
Go on.
With reservations, please.
So ordered. One 1726. Representative Garcia.
We're still on 1724 and 1725. No vote.
So ordered. Any other votes on 1724 and 1725?
1724. No vote, please.
So ordered. Moving forward to 1726. 1727, next page. 1728. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
No vote.
So ordered. 1729 and 1730. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Pierrick.
No vote.
So ordered. 1731, next page. 1732. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. 1733. Representative Pierrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
With reservations.
So ordered. 1734 and 1735. 1736 and 1737. 1738 and 1739. Representative Garcia.
With reservations.
So ordered. 1740 and 1741. Representative Russo.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Capella.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
No vote, please.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Pierrick.
In opposition.
Proceed.
Gambling is not good. I'm voting no.
1742 and 1743. Representative Amato.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Capella.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Pruso.
I have concerns in opposition, and I have some deep concerns about two of the whereas clauses in this resolution, and also the way in which it comes to this body. So an existing reso was gutted and replaced with this language, and I think we need to look at this resolution more closely.
Representative Cochran.
Thank you, Speaker, and I too cast a no vote, and I stated it in the Finance Committee due to the process at which this was done. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Hasiberde.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Albaladi.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Poi Poi.
No vote and a comment.
Proceed.
In a nutshell, this resolution is directed at the County of Maui. It lists several whereas clauses speaking to the devastating effects of the fires, the cost of recovery. It comments on the mayor's recent proposed budget. It opines on certain things that should be included or omitted from the budget, and in the Be It Resolved, it urges the County of Maui to pass a fiscally prudent budget, specifically to maintain current staffing levels, except for increases mandated by the county charter or those critical to wildfire response. There is a particular whereas clause that for me is problematic and could be interpreted, in my opinion, as contradictory to the Be It Resolved clause. The 9th whereas clause calls out two things that I am very protective of and two things very important and directly impacting to my district. This clause mentions that the mayor's budget includes funding for the Department of OEV Resources and funding for the East Maui Regional Community Board. And as we know, East Maui is within a part of my district. And both of these are charter amendments. A little bit of history: the Water Authority was created to give East Maui residents a seat at the table when decisions are made regarding water resources in East Maui. For decades, East Maui streams were decimated, dewatered, and completely dried up. And there was once a thriving commercial kalo export industry made up of generational and lineal Native Hawaiian families in East Maui, and that industry was killed when the water was diverted to grow sugar in the Central Plains. It took decades in court to get some of that water restored so that families could start their lo'i again, and that's some of the history behind why that board was created. The Department of OEV Resources was created to elevate and incorporate our culture and Native worldviews and perspectives, our cultural resources, arts, our language, our place names, our ike into the works and decisions of our county government. And that was another huge fought win and recognition for Kanaka and culture in our government. So I question why this clause is included at all, considering the county is mandated to fund the charter. The Department of OEV Resources is required by charter to be active by July 1st, 2024. So I think that potentially to not fund these items may put the county in violation of its own laws. I know that this is a resolution, but that message could be perceived as suggesting the county to not fund these important sections of the charter, and I've had numerous constituents reach out with great concern for this resolution, and at the end of the day, I'm here to represent my district and our people and our aina, so no vote. Thank you.
Representative Mato.
Thank you, Speaker. I would like to cancel my reservations and change my vote to no, please.
So ordered. Representative Martin.
With reservations, please.
So ordered. Representative Baladi.
Thank you. Based on the words of my colleagues from Molokai as well as from Lanahaina, I'd like to also change my reservations to a no vote. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Ganadin.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Speaker, no vote. And a brief comment on the comments.
Proceed.
As I read this and I hear this, this is kind of like a hit piece to the Maui County vote of no confidence, or we know better at the state than you do. I think it's rather offensive. I think it's out of bounds the way that we've handled this. So strong no vote, and in favor of every comment that's been made by the Maui reps.
Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Matsumoto.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Lowen.
Just no vote based on the process.
So ordered. Representative Lachica.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Alcos.
No vote.
So ordered. All right, members, we will be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Motion is carried. Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, can I do a late introduction?
Proceed.
I'd like to introduce award-winning author Tom Kaufman. Thank you for being here and welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Nakamura, if you don't mind.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Report numbers 1744-24 through 1746-24 as listed on page 33, and that the accompanying Senate bills as may be amended pass second reading and be placed on the calendar for third reading.
Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Any discussion on Stancom Report 1744-24? 1745? 1746?
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Siyama.
No vote. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Peruso.
Same request, and I would just like to thank the chairs who have been working on this measure for their amendments to this work, and I still stand in opposition.
Representative Martin.
With reservation and brief comments.
Proceed.
I really appreciate the version that's before us right now, and I have no objection to that at all. My reservation is just for what might happen in conference, but I really appreciate the work that's been done and the willingness of the committees to let the counties proceed with their current ongoing adjustments to their own land use ordinances. Thank you.
Representative Garcia.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Kong.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Nishimoto.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Garrett.
Same request.
So ordered. Representative Mata. Representative Matayoshi.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Hussey Burdick.
No vote, brief comment.
Proceed.
I understand that the two most controversial provisions were removed in the only committee held by the House, but I also understand that any part of any previous version could potentially be revived in conference committee. I understand that the main argument in support of this bill is because we haven't built enough housing stock to house all of our people. But is that really true when we have such high vacancy rates? Some areas are as high as 25%. That means 1 out of every 4 units in those communities are sitting empty, while people who were born and raised here are sleeping in their cars on the street. How much more housing do we need to build in order to make these houses affordable? There's also been an assertion that one of the main reasons inflating the price of housing is because of our arduous permitting process. Let me correct the record. This bottleneck is not caused by our hard-fought environmental and community protections. It's because most of our county permitting departments are disastrously underfunded, understaffed, and overworked. This bill is not going to fix that and would actually lead to a further backlog of permit requests from an unprecedented number of homeowners trying to suddenly subdivide their existing units. If this body was serious about reducing the cost of housing, we would require counties to adequately fund their permitting departments and impose a steep vacant homes tax to incentivize our existing units to go back on the market and bring prices down. I'm voting no on this bill because urban sprawl is not the answer to our housing crisis. Our urban roads, sewer systems, and emergency facilities are not built to withstand 3 to 6 times higher density. My community is already feeling the impacts of overburdened sewer systems and roadway congestion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No vote.
Representative Kobayashi.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Cochran.
Speaker, no.
So ordered. Representative Mizuno.
With the reservations.
So ordered. Representative Takanouchi.
No vote, but with much appreciation to all the chairs involved for the continuing work on the bill.
So ordered. Representative Albaladi.
Strong reservations.
So ordered. Representative Poi Poi.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Onishi.
Thank you, Speaker. No vote for me with brief comment.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I really appreciate the hard work of the committee chairs on this bill and the amendments that they made, but I still have strong reservations about the potential that this bill will increase the price of residential homes and potential vacant land once it gets rezoned and make it more attractive to investors, not just people in Hawaii, but also from people from outside of Hawaii that are going to be coming to Hawaii and bid up the price for land and residential homes. Thank you.
Representative Chan.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Akos.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Capello?
Reservations.
So ordered. All right, members. No further votes. Oh, Representative Hashem? So ordered. With no further votes, we'll be taking a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Motion is carried. Representative Nakamura?
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt Standing Committee Report numbers 1747-24 through 1779-24 as listed on pages 34 through 41, and that the accompanying Senate bills pass third reading.
Representative Morikawa?
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Any discussions on STANCOM Report 1747-24? 1748, 1749, 1750, next page, 1751. Representative Pierrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Garcia.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Amato.
Reservations.
So ordered. Representative Cochran.
No vote.
So ordered. 1752, 1753. Representative Pierrick.
In support.
Proceed.
This bill would help speed up the process to eliminate debt in the government, and that's a wonderful thing.
1754. Next page. Oh, 1754. Representative Pierrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Next page. 1755. 1756. 1757. 1758. 1759. Representative Garcia.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Same request.
So ordered. Next page, 1760, 1761, 1762. Representative Pierrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Cochran.
Yeah, WR here, I appreciate fining people, but it's occurring right now where people are stating certain burials are on existing properties in Lahaina, and the owners walk up and go, well, I didn't know, and the person's going, no, I'm telling you there's people here. So I don't know where the enforcement's gonna happen here. Thank you.
1763. Representative Garcia.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Hasibarte.
In support, brief comment.
Proceed.
I'm just disappointed that this bill only applies to future crimes that are committed after July 1st, 2024. And I would like to see this body do more to provide justice for victims of crimes that happened in the past. Thank you.
1764. Next page. 1765. 1766. Representative Hasibarte.
No vote, brief comment.
Proceed.
My opposition stems from the fact that this would no longer require persons undergoing assisted community treatment to not be defended by a public defender. And I just think that in any situation regarding a court case, everyone deserves to have an attorney. Thank you.
Representative Amato.
No vote.
So ordered. Representative Martin.
In support with brief comments.
Proceed.
Assisted community treatment is basically something that's reserved for people who aren't able to make good decisions about their own health and safety and their impact on others as well. And we've seen that the public defenders always oppose these, but they're not the people that are taking care of these patients, and they're not the people that understand what is possible with medication and treatment. So this would have healthcare providers that are experienced in this area make those decisions on behalf of the patients, and I think they are probably in a better position to do a good job. Thank you.
1767, 1768. Next page, 1769, 1770, 1771. Representative Pierrick.
No vote.
So ordered. 1772. Representative Pierrick.
No vote.
So ordered. Next page, 1773, 1774. Representative Cochrane.
Thank you, Speaker. And WR, the comments come from a lot of state entities, and I'm just like, where is the County of Maui involved? Where are comments from Lahaina Strong? Any nonprofits? Our hospitals need nurses, our schools need teachers. I understand this is going to move forward and hopefully incorporate all of these entities, so that's great. So hence my WR in moving this conversation forward. Thank you.
Representative Hussey Burdick.
Same request, and may I adopt the words of the previous speaker as my own?
So ordered.
Mr. Speaker,
Representative Al-Baladi.
also with reservations. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Ward.
Speaker, at the appropriate time, can we go back to 177224, please?
Go on. What would you like to say on 1772?
May I say a few things in opposition,
Oh.
please?
Okay, do you have a long speech? Hold on then.
I never have a long speech, Mr. Speaker.
Hold on. 1774. Any others? All right, let's go to 1772. Proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise in opposition. We've just gone through a very serious emergency. And this particular measure says, hey, when we got an emergency, we've got to give the governor a mother may I of 14 days before the money is going to be released. I mean, that's counterintuitive to the fact. When you have an emergency, time is of essence, time is of life, time is of keeping with what you're supposed to do in an emergency. That's make quick decisions, pay quickly with money, and not say, you know, look, I respect everything that we have in the Constitution. We are the watchdogs. We are the ones that control the purse strings. But why we want to handcuff the governor for an emergency? Not handcuff. Okay, that's a little bit extreme. Why we want to delay release of money? We want to get everything, men, materials, women, and assets off the spot. I don't know of any other place that would have this, because in the Constitution it says the governor can move money around from the departments by the very right of he being the governor. Why we want to do this? I don't know. If somebody's got a sore bone about what happened in Maui or what happened with whatever, or it's because it's 2024 election. Why do we want to do this? I hope somebody stands up and said, Ward, you're wrong, and this is something that we really need because he's taking advantage of us. For those reasons, Mr. Speaker, why do we want to, after experiencing an emergency, let's prepare ourselves for one that's coming, obviously, somewhere down in the future. For those reasons, I would love to hear an explanation of the logic of this bill.
Representative Cochrane.
Thank you, and I'll respond to Rep. Ward.
In support.
So, yes. There needs to be more accountability, open and transparency, especially with the monies that have been brought down to Lahaina specifically. You know, I mean, 9 months later, billions of dollars later, there still has not one house built. The people of Lahaina want to know, where is all the money? I continuously see people on the parks, in cars, on the streets, in the beaches, committing suicide all the time. It's just, yeah, we want to know that trickle down, where is every penny gone? Because a lot of it has not fell upon the people to better their situations at this time. So I would like to see some accountability and reporting. Thank you.
Representative Ward.
Speaker, also in continual opposition. And I agree with the good representative from Maui. Accountability we have, but this bill is about timing. Give him the opportunity to get the money quickly. And it's got to be accountable. You're not going to get accountability by giving 14 days. It's just not going to happen. So, of course, we have to be accountable. But this is moving quickly to get the fire or whatever it is that's happening to done quickly, and the governor is the one who can do this. For those reasons, Mr. Speaker, it's common sense. Don't shackle the governor. Thank you.
All right, members, we're going to move on to 1775. 1776. Next page, 1777. Representative Perrick?
No vote.
So ordered. 1778. Representative Abalati?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support with strong reservations and brief comment.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I really want to express my thanks to the chairs of the Waterland Committee, Judiciary Hawaiian Affairs, and the Finance Committee, because they did, in fact, amend this measure to really constrain the request, the original request of DLNR, to have a kind of unfettered ability to do direct negotiations for public land leases. The source of my reservations comes largely because we know how fraught and political the process has been around public land leases. In fact, all of those chairs on those previous committees and myself served on a select committee where we were analyzing and looking at the auditor's analysis of the handling of public land leases. And we know it is fraught with political uncertainties. And so based on that experience, as well as the testimony from two groups, the League of Women Voters and Unite here in the Committee Before Finance, I'd just like to express what their concerns are. The League of Women Voters opposes this version because eliminating, quote, eliminating competition for public, commercial, and industrial leases on parcels up to 5 acres will encourage pay-to-play political campaign contributions by lessees who want a lease extension and potentially could politicize the selection of lessees. The League of Women Voters go on to suggest further safeguards that we might consider in this process if we're going to allow the direct negotiation for public land leases. Unite here cautions us to say, and says in their testimony in comment, that we continue to encourage this committee to consider whether or not it is in the public's interest or the state's interest for any public land to be leased without going through the procurement process. So for these reasons, and as this bill continues to move ahead, Mr. Speaker, I vote with strong reservations. Thank you.
Representative Cochran?
Thank you, Speaker, and I'm a no vote on this. Thank you.
So ordered. Representative Mato?
Thank you, Speaker. No vote.
So ordered. 1779. Representative Ganadin?
At the appropriate time, can we go way back to SCR 1766? I apologize, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, let's not start 1779 and go back to your request.
This bill would remove the Office of the Public Defender from representing individuals whose body is being taken custody of by the state.
In support or opposition?
I'm in opposition. Ordinarily, I absolutely agree with Office of the Public Defender. However, we're not replacing this representation with anything. We're not replacing them in statute with a qualified nonprofit, such as the Legal Aid Society, any of the qualified nonprofits that operate throughout the state. For that reason, I am not in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others would like to speak on 1766? Let's go back to the top of the agenda, 1779. Representative Perrick.
In opposition.
Proceed.
This bill would allow basically the salary cap of the superintendent of the state of Hawaii for the Department of Education to be removed. That salary cap currently is $250,000, and I believe his pay at the moment is $240,000. So with the potential of his pay increasing by $10,000, this bill would eliminate that to where it can go even higher and higher. When will it stop? $300,000, $400,000? That's a lot of money to go to the Department of Education superintendent. Let's compare that with the annual income of a teacher. It's nowhere near $100,000. So there's a big pay disparity between a teacher who's the boots on the ground with the children and the superintendent. So I believe that we shouldn't be increasing the salary of the superintendent, especially with the ACT and SAT scores of Hawaii being at a national average below many other states.
Representative Matayoshi?
Reservations. Brief
Proceed.
comment. I do want to say I think the superintendent is actually doing quite a good job right now.
The reason I'm with reservations, even though I voted no in committee, is because I think we do need some version of this bill to go forward. Right now, the cap is 250, but it's going to go back down to 150 if the sunset clause remains in the current statute. And I don't think that the superintendent should be taking a $90,000 cut. Again, I think he's doing a good job. Uncapped seems maybe a little too far, though. I would like to see some kind of cap in this. The cap in the original bill was set at $350,000. That still seems a little high to me, but I think that I've heard the Board of Education is doing a study on what should be the appropriate salary for a superintendent given our district, given our state size, given his responsibilities. If we are going to raise the cap, I would like it raised to a number defined by data and by that study. So I think we should be waiting for that study to come through before we raise the cap. But I do want this bill, again, to go through just to eliminate at least the sunset date on it. Thank you.
Representative Lamasao.
With reservations.
So ordered. Representative Woodson.
Thank you, Speaker. In strong support.
Proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. Excluding our superintendent's current salary, the average salary for superintendents for like school districts is $379,000. Speaker, as it was mentioned, our superintendent currently makes $240,000. However, which is the lowest in the group. However, if this proposal is not passed, there is a provisional sunset, which, as stated, would revert our superintendent's salary cap to $150,000 annually. To me, Speaker, that just sends the wrong message. And what is to stop people from then saying that we should pay our administrators a fraction of a comparable salary, or our teachers a fraction of the current salary? And I want to speak to something that actually bothered me on the floor when this bill was considered previously in this chamber, because I think it was a direct attack on the superintendent. And someone stated that this particular superintendent has not done anything for the entirety of the system, that he has been ineffective. And that is just factually and empirically false. You can take a look at certain metrics. You can take a look at state-by-state comparisons. And when you do that, as an example, our fourth graders, their reading scores are in the top 10 in the nation. That is up from 39 in the country, from 39th to the top 10, under the leadership of this superintendent and his team, which would also be impacted by this bill. Our fourth grade math scores have went from the bottom half to the top half. And I could draw other correlations as to how the superintendent, his team, the teachers, the administrators all have worked together to improve preparedness for our students. And so, Speaker, I'm humbly requesting that the members do support this proposal. It is true, as it was mentioned, that this would allow the Board of Education to then set the salary of the superintendent. To me, that is appropriate. We allow the Board of Education to set standards. Standards dictate curriculum. Curriculum dictates preparedness. That is significantly more important than the superintendent's salary. And so for these reasons and others, Speaker, I'm humbly asking my colleagues to please support this proposal. Mahalo.
Representative Ward.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise in opposition.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to list 10 reasons why this bill should not pass, or that this bill will lock in the status quo, of which not too many of us are always proud of what we have in the state of Hawaii. This is kind of like news flashes. December 7, 2023, DOE calls off $500 million worth of construction projects after failing to meet timelines. $500 million, well, we didn't know what was going on. Number 2, February 8, 2024, DOE, 11 public schools, fire alarms don't work, and at least a dozen more need repair. I mean, that's rocket science. You can't fix fire alarms. The point is, if you're the superintendent, the buck stops there, the Harry Truman. I know you've got other people who may be the ones who fall on their sword, but that's not the case. Number 3, August 7, 2023, thousands of Hawaii classrooms lack AC. The DOE won't say which ones. Teachers say they are frustrated by a lack of transparency about how many AC units need to be installed and where. Number 4, July 25, 2023, newsflash, DOE to suspend school bus service to 14 campuses amid ongoing drivers shortage. Number 5, June 29, 2023, investigation finds DOE wasted millions of dollars on solar-powered AC systems. Number 6, February 12, 2024, the Hawaii Department of Education is nowhere close to meeting its mandate to buy more local food. The DOE has also failed to deliver a required annual update to the state lawmakers on its progress. Number 7, and this goes to the good chair's statistics, 2022 to 2023 school year, 52% proficiency in language arts, 40% proficiency in math, 40% proficiency in science. Third grade literacy, reading near or at above the third grade level, 78%. On-time graduation, 85%. Going to college, just 50%. Chronically absent students, 15 days or more, 30%. Mr. Speaker, do we want to reward this? I don't think so. America is a meritocracy. If you do well, you get advancement vis-a-vis salary increases, et cetera. This is going to lock us into a status quo. Look, there's nothing personally wrong with the particular individual. He is doing well. We just got to do better as a state, because it's not about him. It's about our keiki and about the state of the art of what we need with the brains, that what we can do as a state in the middle of the Pacific that needs these people to be more educated than what we have today. For those reasons, Mr. Speaker, let's not reward meritocracy.
Representative Todd.
Thank you. In support?
Proceed.
I'll be brief, but I would just note that if we were to look at articles about the legislature, we'd probably find a lot of reasons to cut our own salaries. It's not a good justification just by looking at headlines to make these determinations. And that actually supports my argument for why we should have an uncapped salary figure, which is that an inherently political body like the legislature should not be making these decisions. We don't make decisions on our own salaries. We don't set the salary for the governor or department heads, which are the most similar jobs to being the superintendent. We have a salary commission that is specifically designed to be an apolitical body to make those recommendations to us, and not the other way around. I think we can rely on the Board of Education, which is a non-elected body, to be that impartial when necessary, to set a number that they believe is appropriate. And I would just note that while $250,000 definitely is a lot of money and sounds like a lot of money, relative to a $2+ billion budget, if you were to look in the private sector, that is a very minuscule amount. And if we were to compare it to teacher pay, my wife is a teacher, in full disclosure, if you look at that as a multiplier, that the average teacher is making about a quarter, give or take, of what the superintendent makes. If you look at any private sector industry, and you compare CEO pay to an average employee, that number is astronomically higher. I think that's a very reasonable figure. I think we can rely on the board to make that determination. And we should also note that anything we set in effect does not apply specifically to this superintendent, but to that position in general, and would affect future superintendents as well. So using job performance, positive or negative for a current superintendent to make this determination is not appropriate in my mind. Thank you.
Representative Brusso.
In opposition, with a brief comment.
Proceed.
I want to thank the Chair of Education for his work on this measure, and I recognize the situation that has brought us here. I continue to be opposed to this particular approach to the problem, in part specifically because I lack the kind of confidence that my colleague has in the Board of Education. So because our Board of Education is no longer elected, they are buffered from public sentiment, they are not accountable to the public, they are appointed by the governor, and I think that it's really important that the legislature maintain a relationship and a negotiating role in the salary of the superintendent, because I think that we direct significant funds to the Department of Education, and I think that it is our role and responsibility to be engaged in the determination of his or her salary. Thank you.
Representative Quinlan,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support.
proceed.
And I'd like to adopt the words of the chair of the Education Committee as well as the chair of the Transportation Committee as my own.
Representative Kilo,
Reservations, brief comment.
proceed.
I will say, as a former bus driver, I do applaud the new superintendent's way to solve some of the issues that they've inherited.
Representative Garcia,
In opposition,
proceed.
and I'd like to adopt the words of the representative from Hawaii Kai as my own.
So ordered. Representative Gates,
Reservations, and may I adopt the words of the transportation chair as if they were my own.
so ordered.
Thank you.
Representative Ward,
Speaker, second time in opposition. Let me be very clear. It's not about money. This bill is not about money. This bill is about performance. I mean, I would pay $500,000, $750,000 to a superintendent if it puts us up into the top 1 or 2 or 3 in the nation. That our kids are the smartest. They all go to MIT or Harvard or wherever. It's not about money. Look, we've got money to pay this stuff. I mean, it's nickel and diming. The argument about money is not the issue. The issue is performance and getting us all uplifted in math, science, and all the other things that we need. To me, this is the issue. We're arguing dollars and cents. It doesn't make sense. It's about performance. That's what we need in the DOE. Thank you.
Representative Chun,
Reservations.
so ordered. Representative Martinez,
Reservation 2?
so ordered.
Thank you.
All right, members.
Recess.
Chair will call a recess. Recess. Will the House come to order? Representative Morikawa for the, oh, hold on. Representative Perrick,
In opposition for the second time.
proceed.
Thank you.
Proceed.
It was discussed earlier about how the Salary Commission sets the salary for legislators, and the Board of Education would then, in this bill, set the salary for the superintendent. Allow me to just bring light to who gets to be those people in the Salary Commission and the Board of Education. To be a member of the Board of Education, the governor would select somebody, and then that person needs to be confirmed by the Senate. So in other words, if you're a friend of the governor and you do well enough in the Senate, in the committees, you become a member of the Board of Education. And then one of those members can get selected to become the superintendent. So we have a part to say in all of this process of what their salary is, because we're voting on this measure to cap their salary or not, and then our colleagues in the Senate, they get a say.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Over here.
Representative Canada.
Friend of the governor sort of implies an ethical distinction that I think should be stricken from the record.
I'm gonna
Point of
call-
order, Mr. Speaker.
I'm going to call a recess at this time. Recess. Will the House come to order? Representative Pyrick, please finish and complete your statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So we've just defined how you get appointed to the Board of Education, how they select the superintendent, and how that pay is unfolded. With regards to the Salary Commission, we, as members of the House of Representatives, we do have a part to play in that. And according to this document, 2 members of the Salary Commission shall be appointed by the governor, 2 members shall be appointed by the President of the Senate, 2 members shall be appointed by the Speaker of the House, and House of the Representatives. We all select the Speaker of the House, so we have a part to say in that. And 1 member shall be appointed by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. We decide the salary of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. We very much, as representatives, have a part to play in the Salary Commission and the Board of Education, and so we should vote no on this bill to not let the salary of the superintendent exceed $250,000. If I'm a worker and I'm working hard and part of my income gets taken out into the state budget, into the line item for the Department of Education, if I'm only making $70,000 a year and I know that $16,000 of my taxes, maybe not mine specifically, but that line item of like $2.1 billion in the Department of Education is going towards a exorbitant salary of the superintendent, I don't think most of the Hawaii residents would support that. So I'm voting no.
Right, members. Representative Morikawa for the vote.
Mr. Speaker, on the measures before us, all majority members vote aye with the exception of the following. On page 35, STANCOM report number 1751-24, SB number 2536, SD1, HD1, the following vote no. IU Cochran. On page 36, STANCOM report number 1759-24, SB number 2405, HD1, Rep. Onishi votes no. On page 38, STANCOM report number 1766-24, SB number 2557, SD1, HD1, the following vote no. Amato, Ganaden, Hussey Burdick, Capella, Peruso, Poi Poi. On page 41, STANCOM report number 1778-24, SB number 3157, SD2, HD2, the following vote no. Amato, Cochran, Hussey Burdick, Capella, Peruso. For STANCOM report number 1779-24, SB number 3207, SD2, HD1, the following vote no. IU, Amato, Hussey Burdick, Capella, Peruso, Poi Poi, Tam. Thank you.
Representative Garcia.
On the measures before us, all minority members vote aye with the exception of the following. On page 35, SCR 1752-24, SB 2787, Senate Draft 2, House Draft 1, Reps. Garcia and Perrick vote no. One right before that, SCR 1751-24, SB 2536, SD1, HD1, Perrick votes no. SCR 1754-24, SB 2927, SD1, HD1, Perrick votes no. Page 37, SCR 1761-24, SB 2461, SD2, HD1, Reps. Alcos and Ward vote no. SCR 1762-24, SB 2591, SD2, HD1, Perrick votes no. Page 39, SCR 1771-24, SB 2284, SD2, HD1, Perrick votes no. SCR 1772-24, SB 2512, SD2, HD2, Reps. Alcos, Perrick, and Ward vote no. Page 41, SCR 1777-24, SB 2502, SD2, HD1, Perrick votes no. SCR 1779-24, SB 3207, SD2, HD1, Reps. Alcos, Garcia, Matsumoto, Perrick, and Ward vote no.
Have all votes been cast? Said Senate bills pass third reading. Item 7, announcements. Representative Lamasao.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to invite everyone here next month, May 4th, for the Filipino Fiesta, and this year's theme is celebrating a resilient community. So save the date, May 4th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Filipino Community Center. Thank you.
Representative Garcia.
Just an announcement, a following floor session right now is our fellowship luncheon. Guest speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Timothy Crawley, who was in the gallery earlier, Deputy Command Chaplain, USAR Pacific Command, in room 423.
Representative Onishi.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. I'd like to announce, and you should have gotten notice, that the Festival of Pacific is going to be presenting an update on the upcoming festival in January from the 6th to the 16th. It's going to be held in room 309, starts at 11 a.m., and lunch will be provided. And this briefing is only open to legislators. Thank you.
With no further announcements, Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 12 o'clock noon tomorrow.
Representative Garcia.
Speaker, I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion is carried. The House stands adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.